Hi, thanks for stopping by Grains and Small Places. My name is Kara, and if you're new here, welcome. We love to bake things with fresh milled flour around here, and today I'm going to show you how to make some cute little thumbprint cookies, and we're making these with some fresh raspberry jams. So you can use whatever preserves, jams, jellies, anything that you prefer. You can use any of those flavors, whether you have it homemade, canned, or from the store, doesn't really matter. But today I'm going to be attempting to make them look a little festive for Valentine's Day. So I'll show you how I turn these into cute little Valentine's Day shortbread thumbprint cookies. So let's get started. Okay, so to start with these thumbprint cookies, I'm actually going to just make a really quick small batch raspberry jam. So I've just got some fresh raspberries. This is just like one of those little pint containers. It's like 16 ounces. I just got done rinsing them, and I'm gonna go ahead and start cooking these. And then I'm gonna add about a 1/4 cup of honey, or you can use sugar, and then I'm going to use about a tablespoon of fresh lemon juice. That's all I'm going to put in here. I'm not putting any pectin, I'm not doing any thickeners. It's a low sugar amount because I'm not canning this, I'm just using this right away. So I want to make this first so that it can cool down before we want to add it to the cookie dough before baking. Move that out of the way a little bit because I'm going to get my lemon in here. I'm going to basically use about half of this lemon because I want to use part of this for my cookie dough. So I'm going to need about a tablespoon of the lemon juice. Just picking out the seeds here. So I'm just going to guess about a tablespoon, depending on how juicy your lemon is. I'm using about a half of a lemon. And then the other half I'm going to just save for the, set to the side and save it for the cookie dough. Pull that back forward. And basically we just need to boil this, or simmer this, I guess rather, for about 10 minutes. It should start to thicken as all of the moisture comes off. I guess it's better for me to leave it up there. You can't see. Okay, so we'll leave that up there. So simmer that down. If you want to take this and run it through a sieve or a skimmer or something like that to remove the seeds, you can do that. But I actually think the seeds are kind of pretty in the cookies, so I think I'm just going to go ahead and leave them. So once this gets to a nice thickened state, then we are ready to go, and that's basically that thickened jam that we're looking for. But again, you can choose to use any jarred or canned preserves or jelly. I'm using raspberry because I think that for Valentine's Day it stays the reddest after cooking. I thought about using strawberry, but I know that sometimes once you bake it tends to turn a little bit brown, so I was looking for something that would, you know, keep most of its red coloring without actually adding any, you know, food dyes or food coloring or anything like that. So this is just about ready. Okay, I went ahead and turned off the heat because you can see it's already thickened. When I pull my, you know, spatula through here, it stays, so we have that nice jelly jam consistency that I'm looking for. I'm going to pull this off to start cooling because we don't want to add this to our cookie dough while it's hot. Oh, that just looks beautiful. I'm going to go ahead and move this just to a heat-safe container so it can cool down. That's very good. Okay, so to start the thumbprint cookie dough, I'm going to use my little all-purpose flour mixture that we talked about a few videos back. If you want to see that video, I will put a link in the description box below. Try to put a little card here or here. But we're going to be using 1/3 soft white, 1/3 hard white, and 1/3 kamut. We're going to use about 240 grams total. So if you divide that by 3, it ends up being about 80 grams each. Okay, that's 80 grams of soft white. And if you don't have kamut, you can use half soft white and half hard white. And if you want to use all soft white, that's a possibility as well, but you would have to use more flour just because soft white tends to, you just tend to need a little bit more whenever using just soft white. Okay, that's the hard white. And we'll finish this off with some kamut. This is just a mixture. Like I said, I have a whole video based on why I chose this mixture and how it works and what it works in and all of that stuff. So if you have any questions about this little blend that I created, just go ahead and take a look at that video and it'll answer a lot of those questions for you. Okay, 240. And I'll also make sure to put a link in the description box below for any of the things that you see me using, or like I know I get a lot of questions about these grain bins. I'll put a link to these in the description box below, and my mixer and my mill and my digital scaler, any of those things if you have any questions about any of them. All right, we're gonna go ahead and take this on over to my mill. If you're interested in grabbing your own Nutrimill, I have a coupon code in the description box below. If you use that coupon code, you can get 20 bucks off anything in the Nutrimill or Bosch store. So that's nice and helpful. I'll put a link in the description box below. Okay, and here is our freshly milled flour. So this is that nice, beautiful all-purpose flour blend. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my mixer out and we'll start creaming the butter. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is put in 2 sticks of butter, which also I guess equals 1 cup or 8 ounces of butter. And we want to make sure this is nice and soft. So whether you want to put it out on your counter the night before or a few hours before you make this, we don't want it melted because that can affect our cookies and give us flattened cookies. You know, these are kind of a puffy cookie, so we don't want to melt the butter. And we also want to make sure that we cream this butter all the way so it's light and fluffy. So don't skip that step because you really need that for the thickness of the cookie. So again, make sure it's just nice, softened butter. And I'm going to go ahead and just turn this on and start creaming that. Okay, so you can see how this is getting nice and light and fluffy. It's not quite there yet, but I wanted to stop and just show you what that's looking like. But once it starts to get a little bit lighter, fluffy looking, and increase in volume, then we know we're there. Okay, so I hope you can see how much this has increased in volume, and then I'll also show you a close-up of the texture of that butter so you can see how it's like silky smooth, creamy looking. I'm going to go ahead and sprinkle on just a little bit of salt. I'm using unsalted butter. This is about 1/4 teaspoon or so. And typically when I'm creaming my butter, I'm also creaming my butter and sugar. But for this recipe, I'm using powdered sugar, not regular white granulated sugar. So you can either purchase powdered sugar, you can make powdered sugar, you can take your regular sugar that you're using and put it in your blender and make yourself some powdered sugar. But it's going to be about 57 grams. Don't worry if you cook by volume and not by weight. I'll make sure to put a link to the recipe down in the description box below. If I ever have a discrepancy in what I say in my video as opposed to what's in the written recipe on my blog at grainsandsmallplaces.net, always go with the written one, because sometimes if I make a mistake when I'm saying my videos, and once it's been published, I can't really edit that again. So with the written recipes, I can always go back and edit if there was an error or anything like that. So we're going to go ahead and mix this all in. And for a little bit of flavoring, you can use whatever flavoring you want, really. You could leave flavoring out. You could put vanilla in here if you want a vanilla flavor. You could put almond extract in here if you want more of like that shortbready almond flavor. Today, since we're doing raspberry and I put lemon juice in the raspberry jam, I thought that it might be a nice complement to just go ahead and use the lemon juice right here in the cookie. So I'm going to use about a teaspoon of fresh lemon juice. If you're using the vanilla, you can go ahead and use the same amount. If you're using the almond extract, you may want to go a little bit light on that because it can tend to be strong. Just gonna mix all this together, and then we will add in our freshly milled flour. Okay, that looks all nice and combined. I like how that's looking. I'm gonna go ahead and add in the freshly milled flour blend that we made. Just want to make sure that gets all incorporated and there's no dry flour left. And it might look in the beginning like it's not coming together, but just keep mixing it. I'm going to go ahead and scrape down the sides because I did get some of that butter on the back of my little scraper here. Get it out of these little crevices. But that's really all it is to it. There's not a lot of ingredients that go into these cute little cookies. But I just wanted to come up with something just a little bit cute for Valentine's Day and simple, but also these can be used year-round. Of course, you can make them just like regular thumbprint cookies with any flavorings that you wish. All right, let's go again here. I don't want to mix it too much because we do have some hard wheat and kamut in here. It's not all just soft wheat like I would normally use for my regular cookie recipes. So I just want to make sure we don't go too much to develop gluten because then we have tough cookies. No pun intended. Okay, as with anything fresh milled flour, I really like to let doughs and things sit. So it just takes a little bit longer for all that freshly milled flour to start absorbing in any liquid. So I'm gonna let this cookie dough sit for about 10 to 15 minutes before I start scooping it out and baking it. That way we've allowed that time for it to do its work. So I'm just gonna push all this off of here. Now this mixer did come with a little scraper that is perfectly shaped to get all of these grooves cleaned out. So I don't know why I didn't grab it and I'm grabbed for a spoon, but I guess that's just what was within my reach today. Let me know down in the comments below if that's how you like to mix and make things too, just whatever's easiest. I'm not looking for any overly complicated Valentine recipes. I've seen so many cute ones on the internet, but I'm kind of one of those bakers that goes for more rustic style or simple, what's the word I'm looking for? No frills, rustic. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but that's kind of my style more. So, okay, I'm going to let this sit for a little while. You can put this in the fridge and let it sit overnight if you want to. If you want to make these sourdough, this would be the point where you could add in about 2 tablespoons of your sourdough starter right into here. Let it sit in the fridge overnight and then you can bake these off tomorrow. So I'll be back after we allow these to sit, and that also should be the perfect time for our jam to be cool. Everything can be assembled. I'm gonna go ahead at the end of this rice and preheat my oven to 350 degrees. And I'm gonna be using my medium cookie scoop. So they're gonna bake for about 15 minutes. If you wanna make smaller ones, they'll bake for less time. And if you wanna make bigger ones, they'll bake for, take longer time. Okay, so now we have our jam. It's nice and cooled, nice and thickened. Look at that, that's beautiful. I'm getting our cookie dough out of the refrigerator, so you definitely want to make sure that that's chilled at least a little bit before we start making these. And if you want a sweeter cookie, you can always take these and roll them in some granulated sugar, and it'll give that little sugar on the texture outside. But I'm going to go ahead and just scoop these. And this powdered sugar just gives the most like soft and buttery, pillowy cookie texture, I guess, would be the best way to describe it. I'm only going to put a few on my baking sheet here. I don't want to overcrowd the pan before I know like how much these are going to spread. So this is making a pretty small batch. If you want to make a larger batch, you can definitely double this and double the jam. What I'm going to do is wet my thumb. Since these are thumbprint cookies, I'm going to attempt to do one each direction and see if we can't get this to look more like a heart. So of course, if you have like little heart cookie cutters, that would work here. I don't have anything like that, so I'm just going with the old-fashioned thumb. If you're not looking for the heart, then you can of course just use a spoon. I decided to make it a little bit harder for myself. I want to make sure that this is deep enough that my jam has a place to sit. So we'll see how these turn out. I don't know. They may end up just being a giant blob. Okay, so I found that actually my middle finger works a little bit better than my thumb. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and just wash my hands off real quick. So after I made these cookie doughs, I threw in a batch of my dinner rolls. So these actually stayed in the refrigerator for a little longer than the 15 minutes, but beautiful dinner rolls for dinner tonight. I just pulled those out of the oven, so I had to wait till my oven was available before I could make these. Okay, honestly, these might work too. I have little tiny spoons, but I'm just gonna go ahead and get like maybe a half of a teaspoon or so in here. We'll see how this goes. Actually probably closer to a teaspoon of this jam. Just fill the little wells that we made. Okay, we'll see what we get with that. I will let you know. We'll pull these out, but I mean, I think they look pretty cute, so we'll see how they turn out. Okay, they turned out pretty cute. I did get a little more spreading than I expected, so I probably will increase the flour amount, and I'll make sure to update that change in the written recipe. But I'm going to go ahead and bake the rest of these off, and then I will let you know what I came up with, because I think I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit more into this to see if we can get a little bit of a stiffer cookie. So make sure to check the written recipe, the link in the description box below. That way you'll have the corrected amounts, and I will let you see once they're all finished. Okay, so I've got those to the side. They're cooling, and I have fixed our mixture. So we want it to be a little bit drier than what I had prior, so you can see more scoopable, I guess. I did give them a taste, and they are absolutely delicious. They melt in your mouth. But I am going to say this. I'm going to recommend that we take these and just kind of give them a roll to help make them look a little bit prettier. Prettier, and it helps keep the dough together better, I think. Because this recipe has no egg in it, we don't have any kind of binder. If you're looking for that nice pillowy soft shortbread, but you want the kind that's like slice and bake, you can take this very same recipe and you can take it and form it into a log and then wrap it with saran wrap, put it in the refrigerator or freezer, and then you can slice it. So that gives you that nice sliced shortbread cookie. Also, if you want to take that log and roll it in, say, almonds or sugar or something like that before you go to slice them, then you'll get that beautiful little cookie with the sugar or the almonds or whatever you put, crushed almonds on the outside of it, and then the center will just be that shortbread cookie. So you can kind of have some fun with this recipe. Okay, so we do want to make sure that we keep these in little ball shapes for this particular cookie, for the thumbprint cookie, but I found that using my other finger actually worked better. And if you're just making just regular thumbprint cookies, of course, you don't have to do this double indent here. I'm just trying to make it look cute for Valentine's Day. In the next batch goes. All right, that's so much better. Look how cute those turned out. Thanks for hanging out with me for Valentine's Day while we made these adorable little heart thumbprint cookies. I hope you enjoy this recipe. Let me know if you give it a try, what flavor you try with it, and which one you like the best. Don't forget to like, subscribe, share with your friends, and thank you for stopping by Grains in Small Places. Goodbye.